Hey everyone, Dan here. I wanted to jump in today. It's about 11:40, 11:45 in the morning on Monday, and I wanted to show how you can draw these like support and resistance zones or these magnetic zones during the trading day so that you can inform your trading. Because a lot of the videos that we put out are when the market is closed, so we're sort of analyzing a chart that finished a day and then seeing what we can look for in the coming days or weeks. Whereas, if you're trading more intraday or you're looking for a good entry point, you may want to chart it out while the market is open and decide whether or not you're going to take a position at that time. So I pulled up an NNDM here. This 1010 support is for a longer range video that we made, so I'm going to keep that there. And I'm going to sort of look to see what we have going on here. So if you look, if you saw my other video, which I'll link that above in case you're kind of coming in cold here, you sort of have an idea of how to draw these zones. So I'm going to look for some good spots here. Trying to see what looks the most sort of promising. We're on the 1 minute chart, by the way. Okay, so this is going to be a good zone right here. This should actually be pretty good immediate support, though we're very close to that right now, so we'll see what happens. This one should be a next strong level. And these are just like pennies apart, but I mean the stock is only $10, so if it moves $1, it's moved 10%. So this, I would say this is a stronger level than that. This one here. And if you're wondering sort of where that came from, we have this double bottom here. We have this one topping out here. We have a reach below and a buy up. We have a reach below and a buy up. We have this one topping out there and then this one pushing off of there. Look at this though, we're continuing to push higher. So this is exactly what you want to see when you're trying to do your charts in real time as it's happening. You should definitely take this 1054 zone now as a good area to be in. If we scroll up here, we'll probably see where my longer term target in the other video, we have to go to a different time frame. Yeah, it was this 1093. So that's in the video that I had already put out about this. Let's turn these a different color so that we know that we're looking at the yellow are the ones that we're doing in real time. Let's say that. And let's see. Okay. All right. So you have a little double top here. So you might want to look out and see what it's going to do off of that. If we're dropping much off the double top and we retest this 1054 and drop under it, then you're going to want to see what it does at 1049 and at 1044 and so on and so forth. So this will be an area where if you're geez, this is on quite an uptrend today, I want to try to catch one of these dips because I think we might continue upward. Then this might be a good spot for a dip for you because that double top just happened. Sort of a triple top, but let's see. I think what we'll do, because we have to wait to see how some of this stuff kind of plays out, we'll just know that NNDM is one that we're looking at. Let me try to find one that I didn't make a video of yet so that it doesn't have anything on it. Let's scope Workhorse. What's Workhorse doing today? I have not charted this one at all. Okay. So, sometimes there's not a ton of price action yet because, like I said, it's before noon still on Monday. So sometimes I look back into the pre-market to see what happened. This should be a really solid area of support. If you look at pre-market, it was topping out there. It topped out there again during trading hours today here, but then it bounced off that zone here, which is really good. So we should look for it to hold there again, and if it can't, actually, I don't think that's super great. There's not great support under that, to be honest. Sometimes I look at these and I sort of miss something. It might actually be right about here. 1638. All right, let's do that. And I'm pulling on that because of this major bounce zone that it had pre-market here. And then, there was a bunch of topping out here, and then basically topping out there. I mean, it pushed it down afterwards, so we'll say. And then there was this transition zone, right? Bumped up, tried to pull back, and it said, nope, let's get back over that zone. So that's probably a pretty solid one. Nothing else really establishing yet. If we were to break that, I would say this should be our next support zone here. I don't know if it's going to be like, I don't have any other charts drawn on Workhorse, so maybe it doesn't matter if I turn these yellow or not. We're smart enough we can keep that straight, right? Let's see what else is in the pre-market here that might show us what we're gonna see. Obviously this was our top, so that's always good to sort of see our most recent top from the pre-market. It's helpful. Okay, that was actually the top at that point. Okay. It had a lot of resistance here, but it's so scattered. So scattered. That's why I think it's jumping up so quickly, because these zones aren't super strong. I'm going to guess that the zones that it popped off of were much stronger. Do we have some double bottoms in here somewhere? We had one there. This is such a crazy candle. It's really, I think the golden ticket was when it had all these several bottoms here, and it kept getting bought up, and then it's okay, we're clearly just going to push higher. All right, there might be something here. I'm going to say, since we can't find a bunch of other stuff, there might be an area here because of this right here and all the tapping out that had happened there. So let's say that. We do have this nice double bottom here. Let's just draw a little rectangle around that so you can keep an eye. That might help keep us off of this 1667 zone if we come back down. So let's see what happens. Let's check back on NNDM. Okay, it's holding well. Maybe we should see, was there anything? Oh, well, we're going to look back to that 1093 level, basically. So it's going to fight this 1058. Ooh, because it had the double top there in the pre-market. So yeah, that'll be a thing. Yeah, with these lower price stocks, these, the chart still looks fine, but when you look at the actual prices, it's the prices are so close together because pennies are, quickly add up to a percentage point on these. So bouncing off of this rectangle still, so that's good. What's Workhorse doing? Okay. This is good. This isn't really a hammer, but this is sort of like a hammerish formation, meaning the wick that falls below the body of the candle is super long, and the body of the candle is toward the top. A hammer typically indicates that you're gonna jump up because the price tried to dip down below where it closed and it got bought up, which is why it closed higher. But that's not really a hammer, but that's kind of the formation. I'm gonna try to find a better hammer. This is like a hammer. It's better if they're green. Yeah, sort of like this. See this here, this particular green one here, hammer. So it was falling, and it tried to fall all the way down to this 1540 here earlier today. And the price started to get bought up, and it said, shoop, up we go. So it closed a little higher than it opened, And then that buying pressure continued to push the price higher. And actually, what's interesting with this one is this actually, there was basically what I would consider for charting purposes a double bottom here. I mean, body-wise, there's definitely a double bottom, but this wick reached that as well. And so that's pretty interesting. So what must have happened here was the wick reached there, this price opened here, got drawn down to here at some point, and then closed all the way up here. Like, 60-something cents higher. So, but yeah, that's the hammer. And if you see that and, an upswing starts after that, you're potentially in pretty good shape. But that's how you would have drawn that real time, sort of indicated the bottom of that wick hammer. So when you saw this happen, that could have been a good indication, ooh, we just double bottomed, and one of those bottoms was a hammer. So maybe we're going to fly. Ooh, look at all these hammers. I mean, they're red, which isn't superb, but, oh, okay. That one was green. Okay. Bad updating on the chart. Slow updating on the chart. Interesting. Okay. So see this red hammer kind of, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. Come on, chart. What are you? Green or red? I don't know. Okay. So it's, this is why these prices that we chart are, I call them magnetic zones, which might sound cheesy. I don't care. But it's because the price gets drawn to that price, and then it leaves it, but it often comes back to it. And that's the magnetism, as I'll call it. Let's see what it does at this 1750. Why did we draw that? Oh, a lot of topping out there pre-market. Yeah, it's like if you count these ones that tried to stretch up there toward it, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 here. Oh no, that's the other one. Oh, am I looking at the wrong number? Yep, I'm looking at the wrong number. Okay, Daniel, just let it play out. That's also the problem, is when these charts are so confined and you're on the 1 minute, you scroll back, you got to be careful that you're looking at the same price as you think you're looking at. So as we would have anticipated, it bounced off of that 1750 zone. Let's see what NNDM is doing. Okay, so trying to establish back down on that 1054 that we drew in. But it's nice that it's lining up on it. They have to kind of sit there and kind of get their footing again. I don't really know a better way to explain it, but they sort of hit these areas, get their footing, and then use that to push off and see what happens. So at this point, I would draw something in here because we had this triple top. So that's going to be a challenge. But this is sort of if I'm in this position, and say I took this position this morning, when this happened, and I am sort of at least have the proclivities to day trade. If I got in at maybe 1014 or something, and I'm looking at this and I'm drawing these as I go to sort of see what happens. So as opposed to setting a specific stop loss or take profit immediately, this is a lot of times what I'll do. And I'll sort of get my chart laid out like it is now. And now I might think about setting at least a stop loss, and maybe I'd have it around this 1044 mark. I mean, it would depend how big my position size is, and sort of does 1044 mean that I'm just down $6? Or does it mean that I'm down hundreds of dollars? It would sort of depend on that. So yeah, look, it keeps sort of having things completely stop out at these levels, which is good because that sort of confirms that those levels are real. Let's see what Workhorse is doing. All right, Workhorse is having quite the pullback after this topping out up here. Not able to hold that 1703 too well. So look out 1667. All right, let's let this play out a little bit. Maybe I'll put on some royalty-free music and let this just kind of play. And then I will come back and we can sort of see how it looks in maybe like 5 minutes or so. So I'll put a timestamp in here so you can just skip ahead if you want to see what happens. But if I'll leave it, I'll record it so that people know that I didn't mess with the charts or something. All right, I will see you guys in a few minutes. All right, so it's now like 12:04, so we're checking back in here. So NNDM just had a challenging minute. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, it fell through this support that it was holding with at least the candle bodies. I would suspect this is a reaction to like topped out, and it had waffled around that zone, so it really was establishing it as resistance here, and then obviously couldn't hold this previous area as resistance. So that 1049 might be pretty weak, but we'll see what happens. This is a good double bottom here if it can hold. This may be something for us to build off of. It's hitting its head against that 1049 right now. We'll see. Oh yeah, got pushed back. Let's see how Workhorse is done. Okay. Yeah, so after topping out, it had dropped down, started bumping its head against there, so it says 1703 as its main point of resistance right now. That's where it's going to have to get over. It did have, something close to a double bottom here. So with this strong green candle after that might be something. If it can get over this 1703, then that would definitely have been the turning point here, but sort of see what happens. Midday can also be tough because it's a lot of times when the price action slows down a bit. So, we can really kind of end up moving sideways for a while, just by nature of the entire market. Okay, NNDM, what are you going to do? These are like these moments of truth. What are you going to do with this 1049? If that holds, it's another double bottom there. And that actually establishes itself as a strong zone, and I'll tell you why. But let's see if it can come back up to it. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if it's because I'm kind of far away from my router. That it keeps changing like that. I don't know. Seems like a glitch in the chart, right? But I like that the bottom of this wick lines up with the top of this body. And if it can then also line up with the bottom of this body, I mean, look at what else it lines up with. Let me just draw the damn line so we can see it. It lines up with the top of this body here, top of this body here, bottom, top, and then wicks. I mean, there's a ton of action right there. So what I would probably do at this point is I would put this in as an additional line, and I would move this up, because what I really want to hold at this point is this triple bottom. And if it doesn't, then it should really be holding this area or this area, this 1043 or this 1041. These are areas where it's like, okay, if it can't, then we might be in some serious trouble here. So this is already retraced back quite a bit from this morning's pump. And that's a healthy pullback. It had it here as well. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's doomsday. I don't know if you can hear the geese goosing. The geese are goosing. All right, NNDM, I'll leave you for a sec. Okay, moment of truth here for Workhorse. Let's see what it's going to do. This is where we kind of thought maybe this thing that's close to a double bottom, I mean, like a lot of these things, in real time are not perfection, right? You're looking for pattern, you're looking for a symbol that's going to lead you to develop a theory or a hypothesis of what's going to happen. And over time, you'll see how often your hypothesis pans out and how often it doesn't, and you can tweak it as you go in order to figure out what is sort of basically the setup that's most likely for success, as you can identify it with your eyes. And it's okay if you figure that out over time. But once you figure it out, then you can sort of use it to hopefully make your millions, right? Okay, it's doing something here at 10:04, or I'm sorry, at 17:04. Let's see if it can make it happen. It's getting pushed off of it. Let's see what NNDM's doing. Still just bouncy, bouncy. Turning into a turtle here. All right, we're going to go the royalty-free music route again and come back in a few minutes to see what happened. And then I'll probably have to make that the end of the video. But let's give it a few more minutes and see. All right, so here we are. We're back. So if I were looking at this point, oh boy, NNDM. Okay, so I would not be feeling super about I do have an NNDM position, but I'm not trading it intraday. My worry zone would be basically if I were trading it intraday, say I had to walk away from my computer and figure out where to set like a stop loss or something. This would be my worry zone here, where if maybe I'd set a stop loss for something like maybe still this 1032 mark. I forgot how close together these prices are because of how low the stock price is. But I would really look for it to hold this area because of these previous bottoms that fall within that block. We'll see. Maybe it's going to turn around here. It is good. Ooh, look at that. It is good when all these things line up. Let me show you here. So it can be a good sign when all these things line up, the bottoms of these bodies, and it goes from red to green. Ideally, this would have been a little bit more of a solid green, but it's okay. But that could be a good sign. Let's see how Workhorse is doing. Workhorse also having a struggle, so maybe the entire market's having a struggle at the moment. Who knows? But there's this double bottom here. That could be a good sign. So maybe there's something there to look for if you're gonna sort of set a stop loss. I don't know if there'd be a super compelling reason to just not set it at this it depends if you actually are worried that it's going to dip below this 1637. And if so, then I'd put it somewhere in between this 1590 and the 1637, because again, it can reach below and then very quickly come back to it and consolidate there and then push off. So just be aware. It's not like once it breaks any of these price targets that is a buy or that is a sell necessarily, because it can very quickly go right back to that price and consolidate and just do this bouncing in and out of it action for quite some time and then decide what it's going to do. So you want to see where it definitively goes after it hits that price target. And sometimes that's not the next candlestick. Sometimes that's several candlesticks into the future. But this is not a great sign right now. The next one to look at is where this action all happened here. See how it reacts off of this. But, Workhorse has had a big push so far today. But I would not be feeling incredible about it at the moment. And DM's trying to figure out what to do in this box. So we'll see how the rest of the day plays out. But if I were charting it in real time and trying to figure out specific prices that I should be paying attention to and figuring out what the stock does when it hits that price, this is how I would have done it. And it's good for us to sort of be charting at a time when everything is crumbling, because it's easy to chart it when everything is green and booming. So, it's good to see sort of here's where I'd maybe cut my losses. And again, I would stick it in between the 1041 and the 1032 if my hypothesis was I don't want it to establish below 1041. 1041 becomes resistance, I'm worried. I would maybe set this at, a 1037-ish level for my cut loss, because, I want to give it an opportunity to get back to that 1041 and waffle around. And sometimes it does that very quickly. This is an interesting candle that's developing. Let's see if it immediately gets slapped with a huge red candle. That's my baby crying, if you can't hear, or if you can hear. That's the old work from home during COVID for you. I'm only hanging on here because that's an interesting candle to see what's going to happen. I don't know if Workhorse is going to do anything. All right, well, hopefully this gave you some idea of how you can chart as the day's going on and sort of use the targets that you set to figure out what you're going to do at that time. If you do have questions, please put them in the comments, or you can tweet at me. I'm at Dan_Coyle. I'll put that in the description. And it's hard for me to know what questions anyone has unless they just specifically ask them. So that helps a lot, and I'm sure you help other people as well, because there's probably folks who have questions that are watching the video after you, and this way their question will already be answered in the comments below, which is helpful. So we'll leave it there, and I will see you all in the next video. Good luck.